Welcome, listeners. Today I have the distinct honor and privilege of inviting Erin O'Brien on the show, a real estate agent with over 10 years experience with Howard Hanna Real Estate, a top producer, a producer that has a team who, interestingly enough, works with her mother. They've won all kinds of awards, and I'm excited about hearing about that dynamic and what's going on in her world today. So, Erin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's start here and kind of find out a little bit about how you got involved in real estate. I always like to find that out.
Sure. So I actually, out of college, I went to Richmond in Richmond, Virginia. And then out of college, I started working in the NFL. And I spent, I always mess this up, 9 seasons with 4 different teams. And then decided that I wanted to not move as much. So I took a brief career in event planning in DC, and then I came back to the area, and my life, the worlds that I had worked in, did not translate to Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads. And so I took a job as an executive assistant, just trying to figure out what I want to do. And about 8 months into that, or 9 months into that, I called my mom and I said, "Hey, I just signed up for the class at the Alpha College of Real Estate," because I would drive by Alpha every day on my way to work. And she was like, "I'll pay for it." My mom at the time was 25 years into real estate, 26 years into real estate. And she was kind of on the down, coming down in her career. I mean, still very successful, but she was just ready to wind things down, I should say. Right. And so she thought this would be a good transition. So I got my real estate license and I started working with my mom. I was licensed in October of 2012, and then thought that I could do it part-time a little bit while I tried to figure out what was going on, but quickly realized that that was not possible to be a full gung realtor part-time. So I left my job in January of 2013.
So you went full-time in 2013. So beginning
The very beginning of 2013, yeah.
Gotcha. So that's really, what, 10 years, right? We're in
Yep.
2023. Wow.
Yep,
Okay.
10 years.
Wow. All right. Well, you have a lot of stories, a lot of lessons, a lot of insight. I'm sure we're going to glean from you, at least a little bit from you today. But I have to ask, you said the NFL. So what position did you play? Were you on the line? Were you a quarterback?
I always say I was a linebacker. When everyone says, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I was a linebacker." I started with the Raiders. I worked in public relations. That was the year that they went to the Super Bowl versus Tampa Bay, and it was a disaster. And then I went to the Patriots in New England, and I started in public relations there. Also went to a Super Bowl there. Then I went into their marketing department, and I was doing marketing for the football team and PR for the soccer team, because they also owned the New England Revolution. So at the time, there's only 8 teams in the league at the time. There's now 24, but the soccer team was really housed within the marketing department of the football team. So I did that for another 2 years. And then I went to New York and I worked for the Jets as the assistant to the head coach. The Patriots defensive coordinator had left and gone to New York. And so I went with him. And then after 3 years there, our staff was let go. And then he went to Cleveland as the head coach, and I went as the director of football operations. And I was there for about 10 months. And then I was like, A, I don't like this weather. And B, I saw the writing on the wall, and I was like, I'm so sick of moving. Because we had also in New York, we had moved the team from Long Island to Florham Park, New Jersey. So I had moved there as well. Mm-hmm. So I had moved a lot in my 9 years, and I was just ready to come home or not move, at least.
So that's kind of that's like a player, right? It sounds like you're getting traded every couple of years, right? From one team
to pretty much what. I mean, it's funny. I actually just had this conversation with someone else where, everyone always blames the coach on the team or the quarterback, but it's always the coach needs to be fired. Well, it's a team sport. It's a cumulative effort, but also deals with player personnel and scouting. And firing just a coach is not firing just a coach. You're firing the coach. You're firing his staff of 20 to 25 coaches. Sometimes you're firing, the equipment staff, the medical staff, the video staff, the strength and conditioning staff. And then in addition to that, it's all their families. So these kids are getting uprooted and going to a different school. I mean, I'm very good friends with the Giants head coach, and he was very fortunate to have his family in Buffalo last year the last 4 years, because that's where he is from and that's where his wife is from. But prior to being in Buffalo for 4 years, they had been in Alabama, Miami, Kansas City, back. They had gone back and forth to New England a couple
Mm.
times. And so you have kids that are in school and they're moving every couple years. I mean, that's tough for a
Yeah.
kid. So I always say, don't just
Yeah, yeah, it's a
claim
lot like
fire the coach.
since you're firing the entourage, yeah, and the families and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Well, it's not too dissimilar from the military, right? When people get moved from here to there all the time, we deal with a lot of that here in Virginia.
It's a much different
But all right,
service.
so real estate's yes, it is definitely a much different service. So you decide to get licensed. Your mother's successful already, 25 years in real estate. You obviously had seen her success. That's probably, I'm guessing, one of the reasons why you wanted to go in. I mean, was that the attractive thing for you?
There was some attract. I mean, like I had a good income in when I worked in football, and
Hmm.
so there was some of that of seeing like you could have a significant income. And it wasn't so much an income, it was that I was single and by myself and I was supporting myself, and so I didn't want to cap myself somewhere. The other part was I like the concept of, well, two things. A, being able to have my own schedule. My job pre pre real estate, I literally was at my I had to be sitting at my desk by 7:45 every morning, and I couldn't leave until 5:30. And if I got up and did anything, I had to forward my phones and tell people where I was going. So like just to go to the bathroom or
Mm,
just to go run to the convenience store to get a
mm,
drink or something. Like I just,
right.
there's some independence because I'm my own business as a realtor. I'm working for myself. I answer to no one
Yes.
other than, I mean, the board kind of, but I really answer to myself in general. So that's one thing. The other part is the ability to truly help people and make an impact on people's lives. So most people only buy and sell real estate 3 to 5 times in their lifetime. And it can be a very, A, it's the largest investment they make in their lifetime. But B, it can be a very intricate process. So if I can help guide them through that and make it enjoyable, make it fun, and make it stressless, that's kind of what I enjoy doing. And I feel like I'm really serving those people in that way.
That makes sense. So you can serve the people, you can do something maybe bigger than yourself a little bit, and you can't get fired, right? I mean, you're employed by yourself. You're either going to perform or not. No
Correct.
team is going to come in and say you're out of here, right?
Yeah, it's my dad always
Those
said
are
it's
great
eat what you
reasons.
kill.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's what attracts a lot of people to not just real estate, but you mentioned entrepreneurship. You know, we talk to a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, and of course you are one. It's the opportunity for control, it's the opportunity for freedom, but with the freedom comes the responsibility, right? You have certain things that you have to do in order to be successful. It's not like you can just get up whenever you want, do whatever you want all the time. Now, eventually, as you get more successful, right, you can have a team and that sort of thing, and you buy yourself more time and freedom. But you have to treat it like a real business, right?
Yeah, and that's a hard thing for someone that's worked in an environment where you had to be somewhere at a certain time and do certain things. So my mom was very good at helping guide me through that into the transition. But like this morning I got up at 5:30. I worked out on my Peloton. I have a morning routine that I do with gratitudes and affirmations, and I write thank you notes, or I write, not thank you notes, but handwritten notes. And I got all that done because I knew I had to be somewhere at 9. So I got up at 5:30 to make sure that got, and it's just, and I could, after this is done, I could say, oh, I'm out for the day. See you later. But I'm not going to because I have other things I need to do. And you're not going to be successful if you just say, I'm going to do that one meeting a day or that one, podcast interview or whatever it is. It's really making sure that you're taking full, um, taking all the opportunity you can out of a day to accomplish as much as you can.
Hmm. Right, right. That's a common theme. I talk to a lot of successful people, and they all, I won't say they all, but it comes up very regularly that many of them, myself included, will get up in the morning and have some quiet time and to center ourselves and get focused on A, what we're thankful for, and then B, what are we going to do for the day versus just kind of, getting up and making the donuts, right? Like they used to say, right? I'm just going to kind of automatically go through my routine and my process and not think, right? Or not
Yeah.
take a pause. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've actually found
So,
recently there. I'm sorry. I think there's a delay. I'm messing up. Is there a little bit
It's
of a
all good.
delay? Okay.
A little
So
bit. It's okay.
I've recently found there's a thing called the 5 minute journal. And I leave it on my nightstand. It's an actual like journal that you can write. And in the morning, it asks you the same questions every day. There's a different quote at the top every day, but 3 questions, and it's like, what are 3 things you're grateful for? What are 3 things that would make today a great day? And then your daily affirmation. And then at night, it says, what are 3 great things that happened today? And what's one thing you learned today? And it's a really good way to like put, and there's a bunch of science behind it, and I'm not going to act like I'm a scientist or a psychologist by any means, but there's a lot to starting your day on a positive note and ending your day on a positive note. There's an app that goes with it. My best friend, he uses the app because he can't write. So he uses the app and it pops up with a notification every morning, and he just types it into his phone. So you have both options with that.
Right, right. No, that's great, and I love it that it's 5 minutes, right? Someone says I don't have time for this. It's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you could take 5 minutes, right?
And I'll tell you, it's probably 5 minutes
Yeah,
combined. To be honest, it's probably like 3 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes at night. Unless I'm and the great thing is they tell you like in the whole like when you're reading the beginning, it's like it doesn't have to be grateful for some grandiose thing. It could be I'm grateful that I had clean sheets last night, or I'm grateful that I didn't hear my neighbor this
yeah,
morning, or whatever it is. But it could also be something I'm grateful for a successful real estate career. Um, so it can be grand things, it can be small, minute things, but it just makes you think, hey, guess what? I woke up this morning. That's one thing to be grateful for. And then to kind of have a different perspective.
right. Yeah, yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I think sometimes we make things bigger than they need to be, and but I think the process, the fact that you've committed to it and you're consistently doing it, which is one of the reasons why you've been successful in real estate and your other businesses too. But real estate, since it's your thing, right?
Mm.
Nobody's making you do it. No one's making you get up and do all those things. So what motivates you?
What motivates me? I think it's just the ability to help people. I really like, and it's every transaction's different. So I'm constantly learning. I actually just posted, I started yesterday. I've wanted to do this for a long time, but I just posted on my Instagram. I'm going to start a series of the story behind the sign because, we always see as realtors, because I follow other realtors, and it's just, I just sold this house, or these people just bought this house, or whatever it is. Nobody cares about that. Like you're fluffing yourself up or giving them a post that's they can send out to their people, which is great. But there's always a story behind the sign. And so I want to take the opportunity to kind of share some of those stories because that's what makes my days great. And this, I told it's probably one of my favorite stories. So I decided to do that one first. Plus, it was his birthday. But I sold someone 3 years ago that are friends of mine, and they were all in on this house in Lagomar. We were under contract, or we were writing the contract, negotiating it, and we had agreed to terms, and the sellers had to make the change and send it back to me. And when they made the change, they made another change that we had not talked about. It was not a big deal at all. I think it was either saying who the home warranty was going to be with or what the cap on the home. It was not a big deal, but it gave me the opportunity to pause. And I had already told these people I didn't think this house was the right house for them, but they were so excited about buying their first home that this pause, then they said, wait a second. can we go back and look at it again? And I was like, sure. So we went and looked at it the next morning again before we signed off on it. And again, whatever this change was non-consequential. But we went and looked at it again, and I brought my husband. My husband went with that husband, and I went with the wife, divide and conquer. And within like 5 minutes, they both were like, nope, this isn't our house. And she said, but I saw a house go on in Allenton. Can we go look at that? And I was like, well, let me find out. So we're here. So we actually jumped in between a bunch of showings, saw the house. And as I opened, this is what the part I'll never forget. As I opened the front door, she ran flying by me and was like, this is our house. She went straight through the living room, straight through the sunroom, and was out in the backyard. And she's like, Erin, can we write a contract? And I was like, can we look at the bedrooms first? Like, we don't, all you did was walk through the living room and get to the backyard. And so I made her come back in. We looked at the house. We wrote the contract. We won on multiple offers. And then they ended up moving in. They love the house. They've made their changes, which are things she wanted to change that day. But it's all worked out fantastic for them. And so it's kind of one of those things where I just really enjoy seeing that process and seeing people be happy in the process.
There you are.
I know. I was like, he disappeared. I kept talking.
You were flying through past you through the door. If you could maybe start there again, and we'll just cut it.
Sure. So I unlocked the door. She went flying past me into the house, screamed, "This is our house." She went through the living room, through the sunroom, out in the backyard. And I got out my husband and I are kind of running behind her with her husband, and her husband's got a 4-month-old and a carrier. And we get out in the backyard, and she goes, Erin, this is our house. Can we write a contract? And I was like, can you look at the bedrooms first? Like, you literally just ran straight through the house. So we came back in, and then she was like, all right, we're going to take down these knee walls, and we're going to paint the fireplace white. And I was like, all right, hold on. Okay, got it. I ended up writing an offer. This was before the craziness of the multiple offers, but there were multiple offers on this property. We won on the multiple offers. The rest of the transaction went great. When the day after they closed, I went over to the house before they even got there, and there were already packages on the front doorstep. And they have been there. They've had a second child. They love the house. And it's just one of those, that's what makes me feel good, is that they could have bought this other house that was not the right house and just been meh. But they bought this house, and it's their house, and they love it, and it just makes their life complete. And that, to me, and being able to help in that process is what I love.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. The stories are so much more interesting. I mean, when you take out just they bought a house, they sold a house, whatever, but people don't buy or sell a house sort of on a whim, right? There's always some kind of trigger or life event generally that's around it. Could be really positive. Sometimes it could be really sad or negative, right? I mean, it could be all kinds of things, but it's, you talked about earlier about trying to take the stress out of the process. And, it's one of the most stressful experiences that anyone goes through in their life. And so to have an agent that cares enough to be looking out for people, beyond just, hey, I'm here to make a commission, it's my job kind of thing, is critical. And I think that people sense that, right? I mean, they know, they can feel it.
My mom likes to say that I unsell more houses than I sell, because I'm more concerned with people being happy in their home, and in 5 years or 10 years when they go to sell their home, being so pleased with what I did 5 or 10 years ago that they come back to me, or wanting to refer me to their friends and family because they know that I cared enough to make sure they were in the right house. They weren't just in a house.
Well, you may have unsold more homes than you've sold, but you've sold more clients than you've unsold, right?
100%. Yeah, there's a great book called The Go-Giver. I don't know if you've read it, but it's a fantastic book, and it's it very much aligns with sort of my philosophy of it's a lot more than just getting a check at the end of the day. And these are people's lives we're dealing with. And like you said, it could be during...
Well, speak to that a little bit.
Sure. Speak to their lives?
The clients... Yeah, the clients for life, the whole relationship thing, that you don't look at it just as like this one engagement. This is something that they come into your gravitational pull, right? And then you never let them out, essentially.
Yes, sort of. I always tell people after they close, I'm like, hey, just because we went through a transaction together doesn't mean we're now done. I'm your realtor for life. I'm here for anything, whatever you need, home related. It doesn't have to be to buy or sell the house. It could be, hey, our HVAC's not working. Do you have a recommendation for someone? It could be like even asking me like trends. I had someone yesterday text me and say, I'm blanking, agreeable gray, or I can't remember the name of the brown she sent me. And I said, agreeable gray. But it's always being that resource. And I very much promote our local businesses because I think it makes our community is so special because of our local businesses. We've really, because I have lived in many places,
Yeah.
but Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, very special because of our local businesses. So I'll a lot of times get like, hey, what's a place that I can, families in town, where can I go take them for ice cream? Or what's the best restaurant near this zip code? And I enjoy being that resource for people and connecting people to have them help each other.
Well, that's awesome. I love the local community as well, and the local businesses. In fact, I support all the local coffee shops. I think probably too much, but I'll drive by 4 Starbucks on the way to a local place.
So on the flip side of that, I don't drink coffee, but I support the local breweries.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I've probably seen you there too. It's a local business. You got to support them, right?
Yep, 100%.
So, Erin, what are you seeing in the market right now? You've been around for a while.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I came in after the 2008, 2009 craziness, so I can't compare it to then. But I do know that we do not have the inventory. I just had a class today and we were pulling some stuff up, and the 2009 inventory was incredible. We don't have the inventory they had in 2009. So
Yeah.
there's still a demand out there, even though the rates have gone up. They're coming back down. I have been telling my buyers, and again, like I said, I'm not just trying to sell a house. I'm trying to help them and making the best decisions. Now is a really great time to buy a home because the prices have sort of steadied a little bit instead of the skyrocketing they've been doing for 2 years. And you're able to now get closing cost assistance. You're able to get home inspection repairs, which for the last 2 years has been gone. But to be able to do that and get it at that balanced price, then go and refinance it in a year or 2 years or whatever it is and bring that rate back down. But you got it at a leveled price. You got closing cost assistance. You got repairs. Because when those rates drop back down, it's going to happen again. Because unless there's a flush of crazy amounts of inventory, it's going to happen again.
Yeah, there's no inventory coming on the market. I mean, let's face it, 40% of the homes out there with a mortgage are less than 3% interest rate. Who's going to sell unless they absolutely have to, right?
Yep.
And so that whole group is out of the market. Builders have cut back in the end of last year because they didn't know what was going to happen. So it's not like they're continuing to build and create a glut there. So no, you're exactly right. Rates will come down. You look at May. Middle of May of this year, you'll see us come down to probably low fives again, just based on all the economic trends, and then you're right. It'll be springtime. People, all the houses the flowers will be in bloom. Rates are low. Everyone wants to move now, and there's no inventory.
Yep, exactly. And then on the flip side of it, for sellers, we're seeing sellers that have watched this market for 2 years, 2.5 years. So they're thinking, I can just slap any price on anything and it's going to go, right?
Yeah.
But it's not, because so many of those buyers have pulled back. So it's pricing it appropriately. I had a listing last week that I put on that probably could have listed at 500. It's over Office Shore Drive, but I knew, because what's going on right now and buyers sort of pulling back, someone's going to replace all the floors in the house. That's not a secret. Like the seller was like, I just don't want to do it, and then it not be what the buyer wants. So we left the floors as is. And then the kitchen, while it was built in 2002, is a 2002 kitchen. So someone is going to update it, whether it be this year or in 5 years. So knowing those two factors, we listed it at 475 because I'd rather bring in the the quantity of buyers that are going to want to purchase the home as opposed to just bringing in one or two and then not getting any offers. We ended up going under contract for well over 500,000 with an appraisal guarantee and not giving any closing costs. And I said it to my seller, and thankfully he very much agreed with me. But I said, I feel like if we had listed it at 500, it would still be on the market and we would eventually go under contract, but it would be below 500.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just you have to really think behind what you're doing and how many people you're going to attract to that house because buyers are so reluctant right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's where your guidance comes in handy, and it, really makes a difference in the outcome for everybody in the process. I know a lot of people don't realize that, but that is huge. I mean, pricing a home, there's so many things that go into getting the deal done right and done in a way that, maximizes profit for the seller and creates opportunities for the buyer, the right buyer, like you said.
Yep.
All right, last thing, because we're winding down here. What are 2 or 3 things that you do to help stay productive? You've already talked about your morning routine, but are there other things that you do?
2 or 3 things that I do to help stay productive. I started drinking a lot of water. It keeps me moving and alert. I also still drink soda, so I do carry 2 Stanley cups at all. But I read a lot. I really enjoy reading, and whether it is business development books or it is like articles on the market and what's going on. I do a lot of networking with realtors around the country, which is also helpful to me to give me ideas but also let me know kind of what's going on more than just in our bubble here. But then and I know I mentioned it before, but the handwritten notes, there's some people that say you should handwrite 2 notes a day. I probably average between 5 and 10 a day, depending on the time of year, because I send birthday cards, anniversary cards, house anniversary cards, thanks, nice to meet you, hello. Celebrate everything is sort of my theme. So I do have a line of cards that say celebrate everything, and that could be for big things, little things. But I really feel like that helps keep me focused on the people, because again, we're in a people business, we're in a relationship business. And that's the most important thing to me, is that people have that every day.
That's awesome. And nobody gets cards in the mail and handwritten notes anymore. It's all email, digital text, whatever. So not only are you caring about people, you're showing up in a different way. And it's just something about that I think people appreciate. And it's almost foreign to them today,
I'm going to see if I can pull up this text. I just had a client whose birthday is today, but she texted me on Monday and asked me if I had someone good for her taxes to help prepare her taxes, because she said they had gotten a new HVAC, so they needed someone good to help them with their taxes. And I referred them to a friend of mine that's an accountant to do the taxes. I connected the 2 of them. Here's your email, whatever. And I said, it's funny that you reached out because I literally just wrote your birthday card. And she goes, I'm so excited. Nobody sends cards anymore, just you. And then this morning I sent her a video, like I recorded as I was driving somewhere. I shouldn't say I was driving and did this, but I do these bomb videos. So it like is a good link and I can just send it. So I recorded a video and I shot it in a text to her singing happy birthday to her, which I'm sure is just fantastic. But she said, love it. Great to see you. Thank you so much. So she's getting a birthday card from me. I sent her the video on her birthday. And it's just, again, no one gets handwritten notes anymore. So it's nice to be able to get that little acknowledgement that you exist.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Erin, how can people get up with you and find you when they want to sell their home or need someone to help them buy a home here?
Send a flare in the air. No, I'm just kidding. Meet me at a brewery. So I'm on Instagram. It's Erin O'Brien Realtor. Super easy. That's the place I'm probably the most active. I use that account to really educate people so I feel like it's also just a helpful tool. Even if you're not going to use me, go there. You can always call me. 757-575-8768. So that's easy. Or you can email me at ErinO'BrienRealtor@yahoo.com.
That is awesome. All right, well, Erin, this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate your time and really
Yeah,
enjoyed the conversation today. I can see why you're doing so awesome.
absolutely. Thank you so much.